I just wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with 2414. Uh, Guys, things are really moving forward quite well. And I'm just so thrilled of what's going on since our meetings we had in London and Dubai. One thing I want to let you know though, it seems like quite a number of folks that were at that meeting have undergone quite a bit of spiritual attack. Some of you guys know that my own health has been attacked and I'm fighting cancer right now. And one of the things that God reminded me of is that as we were praying with our boys, one of the boys prayed, "Dear God, thank you that this is Jesus' Great Commission and not Dad's." And isn't that reassuring that this is Jesus' Great Commission, and that when he spoke those words, Matthew 24:14, that this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed in the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, all the ethne, and then the end will come. That was his plan, not ours. So I think all of us that are in this fight are planning to be in this fight through 2025 and beyond. But, even if some of us are not, Jesus knows what he's doing. But there has been huge momentum recently in 2414. And I just want to remind you guys of what we are. 2414 is a movement. 2414 isn't an organization. 2414 is a coalition of CPM and DMM practitioners. It's not a committee of mission executives, although there are many mission executives involved in what we're doing. We're more a collection of individuals than we are even of organizations, although many organizations are involved in 2414. But one thing I really appreciated is I had breakfast with Dr. Keith Parks, who used to lead the IMB, and of course, he's Stan Parks' father. And I asked him, I said, "Dr. Parks, you told your son that 2414 was different than some of the previous plans to reach the world." I said, "What is it that you feel is different?" He looked at me and he said, "Steve, the difference is many of the previous plans were plans constructed in a boardroom with executive level leaders. And this is grassroots practitioners rising up to say we can finish the task in our generation. We can even do it by 2025 by engaging every unreached people, every unreached place with an effective CPM strategy." When I heard that, it really opened my heart to say, this must be God moving in fresh ways. So 2414, I want to remind you, is not an organization. We're just a coalition of practitioners who are trying to engage every unreached place and people with CPM strategies by the year 2025. And what that means is we're open source. All of our resources are available for anyone that wants to be a part of that mission. We're open membership, which means anyone can jump into the 2414 movement as long as you're trying to be guided by those three things. That one, we're about reaching the lost, unreached portions of the world. Number two, we believe in doing that through movements because that's the only way we'll see them reached effectively in our generation. And then third, you want to do that with urgency, that we don't have that much time, that we want to do this and we're praying, "Lord, would you let us at least engage them all with these types of strategies by the year 2025. Just a few things to update you on. The January-February 2018 Mission Frontiers edition was written completely by those of us here that are probably listening to this message. It's a great edition. Anyone can get it online for free. For the first time, it was translated into 10 languages by 2414, which is really inspiring because this is truly a global movement. A second thing that I want to let you know is we have a facilitation team, which is a core team that meets weekly. That's myself, Stan Parks, Curtis Sargent, Jeff Sundell, Chuck Wood, Chris McBride, Tim Martin, and then Josh Smith is our strategy implementation director. We also have a strategy team that is a larger team of folks that came out of the London and Dubai meetings that help us on some of the larger strategy issues we need to discuss. We still have all of the task forces that came out of the London and Dubai meetings. I'll just mention what they are very quickly. Prayer, and the prayer task force is doing an amazing job of building momentum globally for praying for the vision of 2414. We have church mobilization, which is going to focus on Indonesia, the islands next summer. It should be a huge way to mobilize churches into the harvest. We have best practices. We have CPM to CPM coaching. We have equipping. We have hot coals, where we take hot coals from one movement to a new place. A rapid response team, a research team, and then finally a task force that's being devoted to what we call hubs, which I'll just mention in just a moment. Another thing that's been happening is there's been a number of regional summits that have been emerging, whether they be in India, Thailand, different places, to get actual CPM practitioners that are bearing fruit and have movements talking to each other to say what do we need to learn from each other to go to the next unreached places. 2414 is really getting quite a bit of name recognition, and I think a lot of people are realizing, since we're not an organization, then my organization, my group, my church can join into this process, and 2414 is simply helping guide us toward that bigger vision. Even talking with the Finishing the Task and Issachar Initiative folks the other day, just wonderful conversations about how we can link up our efforts. God's doing that really across many organizations and networks and churches. So that we can keep improving in our strategy, we recently had what was called an intersection meeting. We brought some of the people that were in the top 1 or 2% of their fields, like in economics, in global networks, together to say, speak into 2414 so that we truly can become a global movement that is viral and spreads to every place. This morning I was just talking with my son Josh, asking him, sort of what's the secret sauce of 2414, and I would just highlight 3 things about what it seems that God's helping us excel in at this stage. And again, these are where we're going. They're not all completed yet. But the first one is data. We really want to create the most complete picture globally of movement engagement, including where there are gaps, so that we know these places are movement engaged and these places are not, so that we create heat maps of movements and cold maps of the gaps. And really we want to keep proliferating that information, because there's been a proliferation of stage 5 and beyond CPMs. As of this morning, the count is up to 650 stage 5 church planting movements that's sustained church planting movements. That's amazing, you guys. Back last summer, we only knew of 400 and something. So praise God, this is really accelerating quite well. I think the second thing, besides giving data to the global body of Christ to help them know where to engage and where not to, where to partner, where not to, is that connecting element. I think one of the things I love about the 2414 members is they're great connectors. This person writes from over here saying, I want to learn how to engage this people group over here, but I don't know where there's a CPM nearby that I can learn from. Just creating those connections. And in all of that, trust is the key. And I'm thrilled to see the level of trust that God's creating around the world among multiple nationalities to say, if this is our vision, we're going to trust each other in connecting for the Great Commission. One way we're connecting people is by developing a global stewardship team around the world, so that every region, every country, all the way down to every Omega Zone has got a coordinator who's trying to help make sure that there are the right types of resources targeting each unreached people in place with CPM strategies. Curtis Sargent's doing a great job trying to really get all of those players in place. And the third thing is creating a world-class equipping and coaching system. And a lot of that's going to happen through what we call hubs. A hub can be a place at home. There's many hubs in the States right now in North America where you can go to, let's say, Memphis, and you want to learn how to be involved in a movement of multiplying disciples in churches in Memphis. You can go to a hub there right now with the guys that have a residency program and build competencies in head, the things that you know, heart, your character, your hands, your skill set, and house. Who do you relate to and how do you relate to them? But second, we want to create hubs that are overseas outside of your home context, whether your home is India or your home is the US. Hubs that are CPM hubs in new places, in field places that you're trying to get to eventually. So that if you say, I want to learn how to start a movement in South Asia, well, perhaps we would send you to a hub in Delhi where these guys are already doing it, and you can learn a South Asian model for that. And then third is then to help people that are in those hubs that are developing these competencies then to get to the next place that's unreached, to engage it with CPMs. But then the fourth stage is then to help those hubs to begin to, those movements to begin to jump, taking their hot coals to new places and let movements begin multiplying into new movements, which multiply into new movements. One little update before I sign off. There is now a giving page on the 2414now.net website where people can give to support the global efforts of 2414, and a lot of those monies will go to efforts many of you guys are leading as you have some pretty major projects that might need some outside funding. We're trying to get funds for those types of things. Please remember that you are 2414. It's not me, it's not a group of us, it's not a facilitation team. You are 2414. When you have opportunities to speak, when you have opportunities to train, share that vision that we want to engage every unreached people in place with an effective movement strategy by the year 2025, and we're praying, Lord, help us fulfill Matthew 24:14. Share that vision. Call people into that vision. If you need PowerPoints, write Josh. We can get you anything you need, but represent this vision, no matter what organization, church, or network you're a part of. By the way, I encourage you to set your phone alarm for either 12:14 or midnight 14 to pray daily for the fulfillment of Matthew 24:14. If you ever need any help, remember you can write Josh Smith at jsmith2@eastwest.org, and Josh can help you get connected to the right person. Hey, I love you all. Thanks for your prayers for us and praying for you. Let's see this thing happen by the power of God's Spirit.